I was told over and over that I wasn't welcome at any family event. Those words shaped my silence more than any insult ever could. My name is Aubrey Linton, I'm 30. And if you think you know how this ends, stay tuned. Do you know what it's like to grow up surrounded by people who treat your existence like background noise? My family was loud, picture perfect, and selective. They had a rule that everyone followed, but no one said out loud. Belonging was conditional. If you didn't dress right, talk right, or make them proud, you were invisible. By 17, I'd become the family ghost, present in photos only when mom needed symmetry. I thought time would soften them. It didn't. Birthdays went by without calls. My brother's wedding came and went without an invite. Thanksgiving dinners? Oh, we figured you were busy. Busy. That word was their velvet dismissal. When I left Ohio for a marketing job in Portland, I told myself I'd finally breathe. The distance helped. I met people who didn't need me to perform, friends who laughed too loud, neighbors who dropped off soup when I was sick. Real people. Then came Eli, a man who loved quietly. He didn't ask for explanations, just honesty. When he proposed under the rain-lit bridge downtown, I said yes before he even finished the sentence. As our wedding plans unfolded, something inside me stayed cold. I couldn't shake the thought of sending invitations to the same family that had spent years pretending I didn't exist. Every RSVP would feel like charity. So I didn't. Not one. 2 weeks before the wedding, my cousin Danielle sent a voice note dripping with accusation. You really think you can cut everyone off, Aubrey? They're furious. You better fix this. I stared at my phone, then smiled. Because I already knew exactly how I'd end it all. The day Danielle's message hit my inbox, I was arranging wedding seating cards on our kitchen counter. Names of people who loved us, not tolerated us. There was a piece in it, like rewriting my own guest list for life. Eli noticed my tight smile. Family drama again? He asked softly, rinsing coffee mugs. Not drama, I said. Just ghosts trying to RSVP. He didn't push. That's what I loved about him, his quiet respect for my boundaries. Still, the universe has a cruel sense of timing. By that afternoon, my phone lit up with texts. Mom, you're being childish. This wedding is a chance to heal. Dad, you think you're better than us now? Brother, you'll regret this stunt. I didn't reply, but I could feel the old fear crawling back. The one that used to make me shrink, apologize, over-explain. That night, Eli found me sitting on the floor, scrolling through messages I hadn't opened. He knelt beside me, his hand brushing mine. You don't owe anyone an invitation to your peace, he whispered. I exhaled. Maybe that's what I needed, permission to choose myself. Still, curiosity won. I clicked open Mom's last voicemail. Her voice trembled, the practiced kind of sadness that sounds rehearsed. Aubrey, you've always made things difficult. Your father's embarrassed. If you just apologize, we could fix this before people start asking questions. Fix this. That phrase triggered something sharp inside me. They didn't want reconciliation. They wanted control. Public image. A way to frame me as the rebel daughter who came crawling back. But they underestimated how much I'd changed. That night, I opened my laptop, typed out a simple email, and scheduled it for delivery on the morning of my wedding. When that message sent, the story of my family finally ended exactly where it began, with truth they couldn't twist. The morning sun spilled across our apartment, touching the ivory lace of my wedding dress draped by the window. My phone buzzed nonstop. Missed calls, voice notes, chaos. I ignored every one of them, because somewhere between last night and this morning, that email had been delivered. I could almost imagine their faces at breakfast, Mom opening it first, eyes narrowing as she read my words. I forgive you, but forgiveness doesn't mean access. Some doors close quietly, others permanently. This wedding isn't revenge, it's release. That was it. No anger, no defense, just truth. Eli peeked out from the kitchen, holding 2 mugs of coffee. You good? I smiled. Better than I've ever been. He grinned. Then let's go get married. The ceremony was small, 28 people under a canopy of fairy lights in a Portland garden. The air smelled of rain and roses. My best friend, Leah, adjusted my veil while whispering, "You look like peace." For the first time, I believed her. But peace didn't last long. Halfway through dinner, Leah's phone buzzed. She frowned, glanced at me, and whispered, "Aubrey, your mom just posted something." My stomach nodded. Against my better judgment, I took her phone. There it was, Mom's Facebook post. A photo of me as a child, captioned, "Some daughters forget who raised them. Sad day for our family, but love always wins." Within minutes, relatives flooded the comments. Cousins, aunts, even church friends, pitying her, shaming me. The same people who hadn't spoken my name in years were suddenly heartbroken. Eli saw my face and whispered, "Don't let them steal your moment." I nodded, but deep down, I knew this wasn't over. Because that post and the storm it unleashed forced me to make the one call that would end everything for good. The morning after our wedding, the world should have felt still, like the quiet after fireworks. Instead, my notifications looked like a battlefield. Hundreds of comments, messages, screenshots from friends saying, "Your mom's post is blowing up." Someone even tagged a local community group. Suddenly, my private wedding had become her public pity parade. I sat at the breakfast table in my silk robe, staring at my phone like it was poison. Eli leaned on the counter, reading my expression. "She's trying to make you look like the villain," he said. I nodded. She's always been good at rewriting stories. Then came a message from Aunt Janice. "Aubrey, people are saying you're unstable. Maybe apologize and move on. Family's all you've got." Unstable. That word hit harder than I expected. It was the same label Mom had used when I left home at 19, packing a single suitcase while she cried on the porch, not from loss, but from losing control. I locked my phone and walked to the balcony, the air cold against my bare feet. Down below, the city hummed, normal, unaware that my childhood was trending under hashtags about ungrateful daughters. Eli came up behind me, wrapping his arms around my waist. "You don't have to fix what you didn't break." I closed my eyes. "I'm not fixing it," I said quietly. "I'm finishing it." By noon, I had made up my mind. I called a local event coordinator, someone who worked on corporate PR crises. She owed me a favor from a past project. "Hey, Claire," I said. "You still handle social media cleanups?" "Of course," she said. "Whose mess are we erasing?" I hesitated for a beat, then smiled.
"Mine."
"But not how you think." Because the call I made that afternoon wasn't about revenge, it was about exposure. And by the time my family realized what I'd done, their own words would bury them far deeper than mine ever could. Claire didn't need much explanation. She'd seen my mother's post. "Classic manipulation campaign," she said, her voice dry. "If you give me a few hours, I can trace every account sharing it. We'll see who's behind the push." By late afternoon, she called back. "You might want to sit down for this." I was in the living room, wedding flowers still in vases, my veil folded neatly on the sofa. "Go ahead," I said. "It's not random. Your mom's been feeding screenshots and emails to a local blogger, one of those family gossip sites that loves drama. She sent them pictures, private stuff, and they're prepping an article." My throat went dry. "She's trying to ruin my name." Claire's voice softened. "Not if we get ahead of it. You still have that photo collection from when she threw you out."
I did.
Years ago, after Mom told people I'd walked out ungrateful, I'd saved the eviction notice she taped to my door, the text messages, the police report she filed claiming I'd threatened her, just to justify her lie.
"Send them," Claire said.
"We'll build your side. Calm, factual, professional. No anger, just receipts." When I hung up, Eli was watching me. "You're really doing this?" "I'm done hiding." He nodded slowly. "Then do it right. Tell the truth, not for them, but for you." So I did. I wrote a letter, one long, calm message, and sent it to the same blogger my mother had used. I attached my documents, timelines, and photos. I told them I wasn't asking for pity, only fairness. Within hours, the blogger replied, "We've reviewed everything. Thank you for trusting us. The story will be updated. The next morning, the headline changed. Daughter speaks out. Family lies, love, and the price of silence. By noon, the comments turned. People saw through the act. My mother's sympathy collapsed under the weight of her own words. And for the first time, the silence around my name wasn't shame, it was peace. By the next morning, my phone looked different, quieter. No new insults. No pity messages. Just silence, the kind that felt earned. Mom, however, wasn't done. Around 9 a.m., she called from an unknown number. I let it ring out, but she left a voicemail. Her voice was brittle, trembling with fury. You had no right, Aubrey. You embarrassed this family. Your father's humiliated. You'll regret this. I replayed that line twice. Not because it hurt, but because it didn't. That's when I made the call. The one I'd been saving. It wasn't to Claire or the blogger or even to Eli. It was to my lawyer, Ms. Reynolds, the same woman who helped me file a harassment order years ago when Mom wouldn't stop showing up at my old apartment. Hi, Grace, I said. It's Aubrey. I need to update the terms on that old order. My family's crossed a new line. Within minutes, she pulled the digital trail, Mom's defamation posts, the public harassment, the leaked personal photos. You've got a solid case, Grace said. This isn't family drama anymore. It's digital harassment and invasion of privacy. By noon, she drafted the legal notice, a cease and desist order warning that if my family continued their smear campaign, we'd press charges for defamation and emotional distress. I signed it electronically. She sent it straight to Mom's email and copies to my father, my brother, and Aunt Janice. An hour later, my phone buzzed again. One text from Dad. You didn't have to go this far. I stared at it, then typed my only reply. You should have stopped her before I had to. After that, nothing. No calls. No comments. No posts. Just the heavy stillness of a bridge finally burned, and the faint, liberating scent of freedom on the other side. That night, Eli took my hand across the dinner table. You okay? I smiled, small, steady. For the first time in my life, I actually think I am. 2 weeks passed, and the storm around my name died out completely. The same people who'd once whispered about me now moved on to someone else's scandal. That's the thing about public pity. It expires fast. Mom never reached out again. Her silence didn't ache the way I expected. It felt deserved. I heard through a cousin that she deleted her social media accounts after the blogger issued a follow-up clarifying how she'd falsified messages. My father had retreated too, no apologies, no defense, just avoidance. For the first time, my world was quiet. I focused on my new life with Eli. We returned from a short honeymoon in Oregon, our phones blissfully off, our hearts finally calm. Some nights, though, I'd wake to faint echoes of old memories, the sound of my mother's voice calling my name, the way I'd always run toward it hoping it meant love this time. But love, I learned, doesn't beg. It doesn't demand performance. It stays. One evening, while unpacking boxes in our new apartment, I found an old photograph buried in a drawer, a family picture from when I was 10. We were smiling on a picnic blanket, sunlight slicing through the trees. For a heartbeat, I wanted to keep it. But then I noticed it. Mom's arm wasn't around me. It was around my brother. I was just there. I slipped the photo into an envelope and mailed it to Grace, my lawyer, with a note. Keep this for the case file. A reminder of where it started. Eli watched quietly. Closure, he asked. Not yet, I said softly. Almost. The next morning, I received an email from Claire, the PR specialist. Everything's clear now. Your name's clean. If you want, we can issue one final public statement. I hesitated, then typed back. No need. Some endings don't need an audience. But in truth, there was one last thing left undone. One conversation that wasn't about defense or justice. It was about letting go for good. And it would happen in the place where my silence began. I drove back to Ohio on a gray Sunday morning, the sky heavy with rain. The roads were familiar, lined with the ghosts of every version of me that once tried to belong. I didn't tell anyone I was coming. I wasn't there for closure that needed witnesses, just the kind that demanded silence. The old house looked smaller than I remembered. The shutters peeling, the porch sagging. A single for sale, sign swayed in the wind. My mother was gone. They'd finally decided to leave the town that once defined us. Still, I stepped out of the car and walked up to the front door. That door, the same one she'd once slammed on me when I came home at 19, suitcase in hand, begging to talk. The same one where she'd told me, "You're not welcome here anymore." I touched the handle and whispered, "Neither are you." In my hand was a single envelope. Inside, a copy of the legal notice Grace had sent, and a short handwritten note. It read, "I release you. Not for you, but for me. This door no longer owns me." I slid it through the mail slot, turned, and walked away. The rain started, soft, steady, almost cleansing. When I got back to the car, Eli texted, "You good?" I stared at the screen, then smiled.
Yeah.
It's done. As I drove off, the town blurred behind me, streetlights glowing through rain like ghosts waving goodbye. My reflection in the window didn't look like the girl who was never invited. It looked like someone who'd finally invited herself into her own peace. Back home, I placed my wedding photo on the shelf, not the edited one for social media, but the real one. Me and Eli laughing mid-dance, my veil tangled, joy unpolished but real. Sometimes healing isn't loud. It's the quiet certainty that you've already won, not because they lost, but because you finally stopped fighting for space in a story that was never written for you. And when I locked my apartment door that night, it stayed closed for good.